Today I'm going to show you how I built Mad Eye Moody's Wandering Magical Eye as part of a Halloween costume. And the inside of here is actually just the Halloween, which is a feather type Arduino board provided by Adafruit, and I'll have a link below. I have a battery on here, a 3.7 volt, 400 milliamp battery, which has given me about 4 to 6 hours of usage on this, and it worked really well. And that is just hot glued in. This came from one of the Add-a-Box kits. So it came with the plastic lens. You can buy your own lens. The one problem is this device. As you can see, it's pretty large. I had to use a ball jar cap that was larger than what I wanted. So I wanted, if you notice, the actual eye is a little bit smaller. For Mad Eye Moody, I had to make it a little bit larger. What I did was I took a ball jar and I took the inner ring from a ball jar as well. So these are the suction cup ones. These are the ones you clamp on and then you can put in boiling water and it'll seal something. Now I cut out the middle, and I did this with my jigsaw. So I took a drill bit, I drilled in the middle, I put my jigsaw in there, and then I cut around. If you're really patient, you could do it with a knife. There's lots of things you can do. If you do it with a jigsaw, make sure you do it really slowly and take your time. I had some peeling over here, but it wasn't too big a deal. Once I had that, I hot glued the inside, and I hot glued the device itself. So there was some extra plastic, so there's hot glue in the back as well. And for the wrapper, what I did was I went to my used store. I bought a used leather belt. And what you'll want to do is you'll want to score the belt. So I scored it on the inside there. I scored it on the inside there. And that cut will allow you to fold it more. So I crazy glued that in. Hot glue might not work as well as crazy glue. And then once it was in place, I bent it back. And that gave it the flexibility. Now, this didn't fit around my head exactly the way I wanted it to, so I found the size I needed, and I put tape. But you don't have to put tape if your belt will just work, or you can size it appropriately, cut it, and then glue it that way. That probably would have been the smarter way to do it. But there's no soldering or anything that's needed for this project. This is an out-of-the-box, and I'll get into the code, which just had some minor modifications, and I'll get into the code right after this. When it comes to coding the device, I started with the code from the device maker. So Adafruit has a wonderful guide here. I will have a link in the description to the code. They have video descriptions to how it works. Now, the big difference here is they have an infrared human detector, and that feeds whether or not the eye turns on and how the eye works. That code I just removed. They have all the list of components. I will have a link to the components below as well. And it just talks about, how to use the different parts, and then it talks about the actual build, and I used all their actual code. There were a few tweaks that I did. I will start with what I changed in the config. So the config has a bunch of wonderful configuration settings. Most important, and what I worried about here, was the light, min, and max range did not matter because I removed the sensor. But all the way at the bottom, there is an eye X range, an eye Y range, and the offset. I found that I needed to tweak these a little bit because I wanted the eye to wander quite a bit. So I had to give it an X and Y offset of 0, so it was right in the middle. And then I had to give it a pretty large offset so that the eye would move around a lot, which is very much like Mad Eye Moody's eye. The iris minimum and iris maximum, I changed those a little bit just so it would be a little bit smoother. And I did adjust the iris minimum and maximum size so that it would look a little bit more erratic. When we get down to the actual code itself, the only thing I did was either comment out or delete anything having to do with the sensor. So here, the motion sensor pin, I commented out. It loads our config. And everything else I pretty much left exactly as is because the code worked wonderful. I did test and have a NeoPixel in here at one point that I removed. So you can see the code here. It is commented out. This will be available in my GitHub, which will have a link below. But if you just follow the guide that Adafruit has provided, and you can just tweak from there. And that is Mad Eye Moody's Magical Eye. If you like this type of content and you want to learn more, feel free to like, subscribe, comment, and ask me any questions, and I'll do my best to answer them. Thank you very much, and have a great day.